Here's our potent storm system, and boy, it is a strong one. Earlier today, when northwest Arkansas was enjoying some snow flurries, Arkansas recorded the first tornado of 2025. That was in southeast Arkansas. There are still severe storms associated with this storm system. Meanwhile, on the northern flank, we've got widespread snow, some freezing rain, some sleet spanning Kansas City through a good chunk of northern and central Missouri, and you can see that snow now moving into parts of the East Coast. A very potent storm system, and it will provide some very bitter cold temperatures for us. This is going to be midnight tonight. It's going to feel like we're in the single digits area wide, nearing zero, if not actually at zero by midnight, but it likely gets a little bit colder. Tough to imagine, but when the kids are waking up tomorrow morning, and not everyone's going back to school tomorrow, but some folks certainly will be, it's going to feel like we're 2 below in Bentonville and Rogers. Single digits expected here in the River Valley. This is 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. By around 3, which would typically be our warmest part of the day, teens, low 20s out there. Those winds, yeah, they're going to come down a little bit, but it's still expected to be rather breezy. In fact, they're going to look a lot like this. Don't be confused. This isn't actual temperatures. That'd be cold in of itself. These are wind gusts. That's right. We're talking about 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's going to be common over the next several hours. By the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, beginning our Monday, still breezy out there, just not as bad. That's some good news for us. Likely going to see wind gusts 20 to 30 miles an hour. For those kids that are going back to the bus stop tomorrow morning, we really got to bundle up. And not only are we talking about the big heavy coats, but we probably should dress in layers and do your best to cover up as much exposed skin as possible. Temperatures in the teens. By recess, we're looking at 20s actual air temperatures, but keep in mind that wind's still going to be somewhat breezy throughout the course of the day. So even though the thermometer may say 25 or 30, it's actually going to feel much colder than that. We did have a burst of snow earlier, but we've been making sure we're staying on top of road conditions out there and really haven't seen any issues. A lot of it really fizzled out pretty quickly. A lot of those wet roadways dried out, that evaporated, and that's partly due to those winds right out of the northwest pushing in some drier air. That was an efficient evaporation mechanism for us. So no road issues out there right now. We could see a couple of slick spots going into the next little bit. I want to go back to live radar, and what we find is that next burst of snow is getting a little bit closer. So if we are to have some slick spots out there, I really think it's going to be along and north of 412. Not going to rule out some flurries making their way further towards the south. That's a real possibility. Folks in the River Valley did see a little bit of snow and some sleet early this afternoon, made for a couple of pretty photos, and that was about it. No actual accumulation being reported out there, but if we are to see a dusting, this is probably where it's going to come from. I really think Benton and Carroll counties may be most favored, and that's been the case all along. And with the latest radar trends, this is a 1-hour loop, right? That certainly seems to be panning out. A lot of the snow that's getting ready to move back into northwest Arkansas is light in nature. We're not finding those dark blues or pockets of purple, which would tell us heavier snowfall rates. That's not going to be the case, not expected with this one. It looks maybe a little bit deceiving just given how breezy it is. It's going to be blowing those snowflakes around, may make it look heavier than it actually is. Here's Futurecast, 7 o'clock tonight. The bulk of the activity passing off towards the east, but we'll hang on to a couple of flurries still trying to fly out there. We're really squeezing out the last little bit of moisture out of our weather system. We do have a winter weather advisory in effect for a few counties in northwest Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma. This is technically going to run till 6 o'clock, so it's likely going to expire within the next 20 minutes or so. With that said, it's possible the Weather Service out of Tulsa may go ahead and extend it, just given the fact that we could see a couple of slick spots out there. They also issued a cold weather advisory. Now, this is kind of a new product that they're issuing. It used to be called a wind chill advisory. That's what it was called for several years. They changed the name of it this year. Nonetheless, whatever you want to call it, cold weather advisory in effect for northwest Arkansas. And the reason they went ahead and issued it, it's the real impact. I know we talk about snow and everyone talks about snow and gets excited about it, but really with this storm system, snow is secondary. It's the cold, the bitter cold temperatures that we're most concerned with. At their coldest tomorrow morning, some folks may be feeling 5 below. That's as low as they very well could get. A lot of us probably around 0 to 5 degrees. For that reason, that met their criteria for a cold weather advisory for Carroll, Madison, Washington, Benton counties, and that runs until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's all about the 3 Ps at this point. We're talking people, we're talking pets, and we're talking pipes. And I know this sometimes can get a little silly this time of the year, but it really is important with dangerous cold temperatures as we are seeing. You really want to limit the time outside if you can. Check on the elderly, check on others, make sure everyone's heat's working appropriately or they have whatever they need to try to stay warm through this cold snap. And if you do have to be out and about, some folks just have to work, and I totally get it. Dress in layers, cover up as much skin as possible. Weather Service with that cold weather advisory saying with temperatures like this and wind speeds as high as they're going to be tonight and tomorrow, some frostbite may start to occur as little as 30 minutes outdoors. And you know the old saying about pets. If you're cold, they're cold, right? Let's bring them inside, make sure they have a way to stay warm. Pipes is going to be a big one. Really important that beginning now, especially in Northwest Arkansas, our temperatures are already below freezing, to protect those pipes. Those faucet covers are pretty cheap, probably kind of hard to come by at this point, but there are some things you can do to protect them without one of those official faucet covers. I'm not a plumber, don't pretend to be one, but I will tell you that a lot of them are recommending if you can't get your hands on one of those faucet covers, you can wrap it in a towel, cover it with plastic, duct tape it, whatever you can do to keep it insulated. You're going to want to run some faucets. It doesn't have to be a big steady stream, but it does have to be a steady drip, right? And we want to make sure we're keeping the water moving through those pipes. Cost of a burst pipe is expensive. Some folks around here certainly know what I'm talking about. That's going to be this winter weather event. But right now I'm keeping my eyes really focused on what's yet to come, likely Thursday night into Friday morning. It looks to be a bit more widespread of a snow event. So if you got your hopes up, I don't know why you did that. There was never any reason to get your hopes up for this event, but maybe you're one of those folks that just really loves snow, and I get it. You've got something to look forward to. I think we're probably going to stand to see a little bit better chance of a good snow for a lot of us across Arkansas and Oklahoma, with a mix likely in southern and eastern Arkansas. This is looking to be Thursday night into Friday. We're still several days out, and of course you know the drill. Specifics are going to be hard to come by at this point, but one of the reasons we're as confident as we are that we're going to see some type of impact is the proximity to the moisture supply, meaning this area of low pressure, it's going to be moving up the Gulf Coast. So as it is, it's spinning counterclockwise. Keep that in mind, right? Spinning counterclockwise, pulling in a good steady stream of Gulf of Mexico moisture. Meanwhile, it's turning cold now. It's going to be cold all week. So you've got the two main ingredients you need for a good snowstorm. A southern moving low pressure system drawing up some Gulf moisture while we already have some cold air in place. This is what it could look like Friday morning. A lot of this is going to be Thursday night into Friday, slowly but surely pulling away as that system does. Snow likely coming to an end by the second half of Friday. At this point, of course, we're still a few days away. We're going to find ourselves in this trends category, 4 to 6 days out. What we can tell you at this point in terms of responsible winter weather forecasting is the general timing and the precipitation time. General timing really appears to be late Thursday night into Friday morning, probably tapering off by Friday middle part of the day. The predominant precipitation type is probably going to be snow, which whether or not you like snow is one thing, but we can all agree collectively that we hate freezing rain. That's ice. We don't like that. That's a big problem. You can't travel on ice, and a lot of times you have power outages with ice. And the good news for us is, with the trends that we're looking at, I don't suspect that we're going to be dealing with a lot of ice. Could that change? Absolutely it could. But right now we've been trending in a pretty favorable direction when it comes to specifically snow. I think by tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, we're going to have a much better handle on specific amounts, precise timing, and precise impacts that we're going to be potentially looking at, especially as it relates to travel. But it is something that I want to put on your radar. We are looking at it. I suspect we will declare a weather impact alert for Thursday night into Friday. I just want to get a little bit more data and make sure we have a good handle on this system. Things can and will certainly change. I want to show you a 10-day forecast for you. We don't have a 5 o'clock newscast this evening or a 5:30 newscast due to football as well as the Golden Globes tonight, so I didn't want to send you to bed without a good check of your weather forecast. We're keeping that alert in effect for tomorrow. I'm concerned about the cold temperatures. Not only is it pipe bursting cold, but frostbite could be an issue for the folks that aren't able to cover themselves up or get into some shelter. Now that we've fallen below freezing in Northwest Arkansas, there's a good chance that we probably won't rise above freezing until Thursday. Even then, it's only going to be for a few hours by a few degrees. I've got tomorrow's high at 32. That's technically at freezing, but at that point, keep in mind, we're kind of at that time of the year that we see our afternoon high for an hour or so before cooling right back down. So even if we're lucky enough to warm up to 33 tomorrow, that's not enough time to really let some of those pipes melt. So we really got to take care of that. We're probably going to be below freezing, I believe, until Thursday. At that point, we start to warm above it. But with that storm system coming in overnight into Friday, you'll notice those overnight low temperatures down to 26. That's certainly cold enough to start to see some accumulating snowfall. That looks to be a potential for us as we round out the work week. Looking into the following weekend and next week, well, it's likely going to stay well below average. Our temperatures hovering in those upper 30s, low 40s. Check out that River Valley 10-day forecast. Barely above freezing tomorrow. Clouds will slowly be breaking, and I think by the afternoon we'll probably enjoy some sunshine. Keep in mind, it's going to be very breezy out there, winds 20 to 30 miles an hour. Above freezing Tuesday, above it barely by Wednesday. Here comes that system Thursday night into Friday morning. Of interest to folks in the River Valley with this specific system, given the track as it is right now, again, subject to some change. As that is right now, it looks like the River Valley may be more favored for some higher snowfall totals than Northwest Arkansas. And I can't tell you how many times as a kid growing up in the River Valley, always jealous and envious of the higher totals in Northwest Arkansas. That may not necessarily be the case this time, just given the proximity of that low pressure system, more favored for the Ouachitas and the River Valley. Hope to have some amounts for you in the next 12 to 24 hours. I think we're certainly trending in that direction. One thing is for sure, it is about to turn cold, and it's going to stay cold for several consecutive days. I know it sounds cliche, and it really is somewhat cheesy, but we really have to be mindful of the 3 Ps: people, pets, and pipes. Some people want to throw in plants for the 4 Ps, but at this point, if your plants have been outside, they're dead anyways. You can forget it. People, pets, and pipes, don't forget it. Tonight, those temperatures dropping dangerously cold, and they're going to be cold most of the day tomorrow. We've got a few more burst of snow. I think that's going to be likely tonight. In fact, before I send you back on your merry way, I'll show you live radar one more time. And what we'll find is that snow's getting a little bit closer. It's mostly light. It's not going to be too impactful for us, but if you do have to be out and about tonight, you might want to be mindful of that. I really think Benton, probably parts of Washington County, Carroll and Madison as well, are going to stand to see the best chance, but it's possible we could see some of these snow showers survive a little bit further towards that I-40 corridor. But you can see that general trajectory is going to be swinging that system off towards the east as it wraps around our area of low pressure. There's a little bit of dry air out there, which may undercut some of this, but I still think enough moisture is going to remain that we'll see that next burst of snow over the next few hours. May be pretty. Our temperatures are below freezing at this point in Northwest Arkansas, so watch for some slick spots. It always starts on the bridges and overpasses, but we very well could see some of those slick spots develop elsewhere. I do know RDOT is in the area in Northwest Arkansas treating the roads. Once the rain subsided early today, they got out there and are putting in a brine solution on the major interstates or highways. If there are road impacts, we'll be here for you right here on 5+. We'll post some updates on social media. And of course, we'll have our 10 o'clock newscast right here. In the meantime, that's a check of what we're looking at tonight. That's a check of the next couple of days. And for the snow lovers or those that have travel plans late this week, there's something to look forward to. We'll have details on what you can expect coming up right here tonight at 10.